Savinho to Spurs and Rodrygo is his replacement at Manchester City. I'm not sure it's as simple as that, in all honesty, because I think the deal has a long way to go in both sides, Spurs, Manchester City and Real Madrid. I'm not convinced this one's actually going to happen, but we'll see. Stranger things have happened, but Manchester City fans seem all convinced, the majority at least, think this is a straight upgrade. In areas, yes, 100% this is an absolute upgrade, but there's information out there that I'm going to bring you in this video that suggests that it's not quite as simple as that. There is differences in both Savinho and Rodrygo's style of play, and we'll talk about that shortly. But I've got two things to talk to you about first. First of all, this video is sponsored by Match Bingo.
Let's go.
Purchase a Match Bingo card for an upcoming game and receive a card that contains 15 random events like offsides, corners, VAR, goals, and if those events take place during the match, your card will automatically fill up as you play. Win cash prizes by filling one line, two lines, or a full house to bag yourself the grand prize. UK customers only. So big up to Match Bingo, thank you for sponsoring this video. The next thing I wanted to talk to you about was the announcement of Finalysis.
Finalysis is here to empower fan opinion. For the past year, we have been searching for the most passionate and knowledgeable fans for every club in the Premier League. Fans who are obsessed. Fans who never miss a game. Fans whose club has brought them tears of joy and tears of pain. They are watching the closest. They care the most. They know best. But nobody is asking what they think until now. Finalysis has chosen the most die-hard and devoted fans to become Finalysts, to share their opinion on the club they love. Finalysts are given exclusive access to the Finalysis app to share their player ratings and opinions on everything to do with their club. How would the Finalysis player of the match compare to the pundits? How much do fans think their players are worth? How confident are fans in their manager? Sky Sports can then put fan opinion at the heart of their football coverage. So, if you live and breathe football and want your opinion to count, then head to Finalysis.com to apply to represent your club. Finalysis. Powered by passion.
Partnering with Sky Sports. I'm sure some of you may have seen it, some of you may have not seen it, but go and get yourself involved because this is an opportunity for you as a fan to have your say. Get involved. I've been nominated as one of the starting 11s to represent Manchester City. I joined with this group of every single Manchester City content creator you can possibly think of. You name it, they were there, all getting involved, and they've picked a starting 11. I'm not sure who's actually in the starting 11 out of all the Manchester City content creators, but I'm one of them. So get involved, and you too getting involved and having your say as well, because this is an interesting app. It's exciting. There's lots of opportunities to get involved with Sky as well. So it was an opportunity for me and an opportunity for all the other City content creators to get involved and have your say. Right, Savinho, Rodrygo. I'm torn on this one because I think I don't want to mention the word Cole Palmer, but there's a fear factor with letting Savinho go because I feel like we haven't seen it yet. We don't know what he's capable of. So Rodrygo coming in, there's a guaranteed set of goals and the data reflects that. And I'm going to compare him to one another, Savinho versus Rodrygo. I also wanted to compare him to the absolute gold standard in the Premier League right now, certainly from a right winger's point of view, that being Mo Salah. I wanted to compare him to what we've already got in Jeremy Doku as well as Savinho, and also Vinicius Jr., to actually see how these wingers, what varying standards there are. There's plenty of variables. I could have included many more wingers in this, but I think it was a fair 5 players to compare to, the peaks of Mo Salah, as well as the opposite wing at Real Madrid, Vinicius Jr., as well as what Manchester City already have. So here are the goals and assists, which you can see Rodrygo is excelling ahead of both Doku and Savinho. There's still a way off Mo Salah and the likes of Vinicius Jr., but he is ahead of Jeremy Doku and Savinho. Then you move on to the assists, where you can see Rodrygo plummets to the bottom of the list. This is per 90, of course, and this is over the span of 2 years, because I don't think it was fair to go beyond that. because in all honesty, Savinho was a kid at that point. He hadn't really had that breakout season that Girona had Savinho. So that's why I've not factored it going beyond that, because Rodrygo's numbers before that are very good, but I actually did compare it behind the scenes. I did compare it to see what the data would actually do, and there wasn't that much difference in all honesty. I just think it's a fairer comparison to make sure you include Savinho's real season where he broke out in that Girona season. Moving on to the goals and assists, combining the two, their goal involvements, and Rodrygo is above Savinho, but only just, and Doku is above him. So those of you that are saying it should have been Doku, not Savinho, it should have been Doku, I mean, what are you talking about? Doku is quite a distance ahead in the output department of Savinho. He's a year ahead of him in terms of his development at Manchester City. He's been here for a longer period of time, but I still think Doku is a way ahead of Savinho, but there are differences in the styles of play, obviously. Right, moving on to the goal-creating actions. This surprised me more than anything, really, because Savinho skyrockets to the top. Obviously, a big part of that is to do with the number of assists that he gets, but also the Girona season. But seeing Rodrygo plummet to the bottom of that list was an alarming stat. I'm not going to lie, because it's quite a big gap between Rodrygo and Savinho, and those two are being swapped for one another. So, interesting. Dribbling, in terms of one-on-one successful take-on percentages, Rodrygo's third on the list, but he's behind what we already have in Jeremy Doku and Savinho in terms of successful percentage take-ons. Now, dribbling into the final third, this is where Rodrygo excels, and this is where the team comes into play. The teams they play for, the styles that they play, and the position that they play. I would argue that he's more of a deep-lying winger, if that makes sense. And you'll see that at the end of the video, and you'll see why I'm saying such a thing at the end of the video. But it's really good to see that he's so high on that list, but I don't think that really reflects a difference in one is better than the other. I think that's more positional and instructional. One instructions from Carlo Ancelotti's Real Madrid when he was there, and obviously Pep Guardiola at Manchester City. The instructions and the styles of play, I think Real Madrid often are opportunistic. They play on the break more often than not as well, which I think is a key reason why you're seeing Rodrygo and Vinicius Jr. top of that list right there. So carries into the penalty area though, Rodrygo plummets to the bottom, but beneath him is Savinho. So it's a proper topsy-turvy comparison, this one. It's all over the place in terms of who excels at what. There are differences, though. That's the key factor to take away from this. There are absolute glaring differences, as you can see. Moving on to possession, ball retention, passing. Let's look at pass completion, a very basic statistic, but it's an important statistic in a Pep Guardiola side, which very much depends on possession. And as you can see, Rodrygo is brilliant. Very, very good. And Pep Guardiola will absolutely love that. Second place is Jeremy Doku. Need I remind you, Mr. Doku, who everyone wanted to sell ahead of Savinho. What are you talking about? Then you look again, final third play, going into the final third. Last time we saw Rodrygo being the best carrier of the ball into the final third. His passing ability into the final third, again, sees him top of the list by a mile ahead of Mo Salah. And by a big gap between first and second place, once again, Savinho is way down at the bottom of that list. Then you look at passes into the penalty area, and he plummets Rodrygo. It gets all a bit more confusing, doesn't it? So, interesting, a lot to take away. I think it's interesting to see Rodrygo and Vinicius Jr. are both bottom of that list. Again, a reflection of the teams that they play in, which is why I've included Vinicius Jr. in this list to help you give you an idea of why Rodrygo's stats are where they are. Then moving on to crosses into the penalty area per 90 minutes, which is an indication that Rodrygo does not cross the ball. And Savinho and Doku, again, team. That's instructions, because guess who's in the middle of the box waiting for it? It's Erling Haaland. We've got to get Rodrygo, and it doesn't mean he won't have an ability to cross the ball. It's just an instruction-based thing. I don't think the instructions are there for Rodrygo to be crossing the ball frequently, which is why him and Vinicius Jr. are both, again, bottom of this list in terms of crosses, accurate crosses into the penalty area. Now, look at the heat maps comparing last season's Savinho versus last season's Rodrygo at Real Madrid. You can see what I'm talking about when I say the words a deep-lying wide player. I wouldn't even call him a winger. I would call him an inside forward, if anything, Rodrygo, who's obsessed with goals. He's more of a goal-getter. He's closer to the Mo Salah model than he is to the Savinho model. He's not one to hug the touchline and get chalk on his boots and whip crosses in. We haven't seen any data to back that up whatsoever. Whereas that's what Savinho was brought in to do. With Erling Haaland in the middle, I'm curious as to see how Rodrygo gets put into this side and to complement the likes of Erling Haaland. Erling Haaland could well have to be a decoy and just occupy defenders' mindsets because the focus is so much on him. Mark Haaland and you stop Manchester City. But if you employ goal threats either side of him, well, it's like, well, pick your poison. Who do you want to mark? You want to mark Marmoush or Rodrygo or Erling Haaland? You can't mark all of them. And if you do, it's going to be an unbalanced situation where someone is going to break free. Or a deep lying cross from Reinders or from Rodri or from Foden. Players behind them could come in late, crash that box and get some goals. It's going to be fascinating to see how Manchester City employ Rodrygo if we sign him. Because Daniel Levy is involved, I'm not convinced this one's going to actually happen, in all honesty. I'm not sure Manchester City wants to do business. It depends how much Savinho wants to get that move. I think the World Cup may play a part in this. Rodrygo has recently tweeted that Hala Madrid and things like that. So there's lots of moving components in this deal. There is a long way to go. And there is also rumours about bloody Donnarumma, which I think is absolutely mind-blowing if Manchester City go for Donnarumma, because he is the polar opposite of everything we have had as a goalkeeper. Complete opposite, and it's a completely separate video for another day, and that will be coming if this goes ahead and Donnarumma actually ends up in a Manchester City shirt, which will be mind-blowing. Part of me is very excited about that. Part of me is like, why? Why? What are we doing differently? And I have my opinions on that. But Blues, make sure to scan that QR code in the bottom corner of your screen for Match Bingo and get involved in Finalysis as well. Let me know your thoughts on this particular subject, Rodrygo or Savinho. I don't think it's as clear-cut as people make out. Just because he plays for Real Madrid, it's a more glamorous signing, doesn't necessarily mean it's the right thing to do. Let me know your thoughts, like and subscribe to Typical City, and I'll see you in the next one.
This is Typical City now, holding up Silver.